Hi, I'm Tom. Welcome to Ledgemere. This is just a quick recap of 2021, and I first just want to appreciate or express my appreciation for all of those of you who have supported us, commented, liked, and subscribed to the channel. It's very meaningful to me, and I'm very much humbled by it. And as you can see, New Year's Day, it's kind of a dismal day. It's not snowing; it's freezing rain, and so it's not the best of New Year's. And I hope that's not a sign of what's to come, but it's typical here in Maine in January. So today we're just gonna do a little recap real quick on 2021, and we'll start out in January last year. In January, I still had the two girls here, and so they've since turned 19 and moved on. So instead of 6 kids, there's 4 here, and the 2 boys are 17, and typical of 17-year-old boys, they're working off with their friends at school, not here very much. So that leaves me the 15 and the 16-year-old that I've still got, and so Aiden and Ethan are here. And so what I've had to do is really tailor the amount of farm chores that required more help than or more manpower than what I could provide alone. I've had to really take into consideration when I had help available. And so it's also been kind of a benchmark of what I'm going to need to do when all the kids are gone, what I can manage by myself. And as some of you know, I am a disabled veteran, so I get migraines and some other things. So some days I can't even go outside and do much. So anyway, that's what's initially started. Was I had 6 and then 4, and then by June I'll have 2. So this year we've finished up some fencing. We've got all the parts of the property fenced in that we want to have fenced in. We've got some silver pastures. We've got the woods fenced in 2 different places, and I had high hopes to fence in a lot more, but with the shrinking amount of kids that I've had here, that's also shrunken the amount of livestock I need to have to feed everybody. And so just a real quick sidebar on that, we had 13 cows going into 2021, and between selling some and sending some off to the butcher shop, we're down to 4, and I've got 2 more heading off here next week, so that'll give me 2, and then come spring I'll buy 2 more. So my plan right now going forward is to have 2 I call them newborns, but two calves, and then 2 that are going to head out. So every fall going forward right now is to have 2 to harvest and 2 for replacement, and so we'll keep 1 and sell the meat from 1 to cover the cost of the one that we're keeping. Eggs, we're in full production right now, about 30 eggs a day, and those fly away, no problem. Chickens basically self-sustain. They pay for themselves. They pay for their own shavings. They pay for their eggs, and they provide us with eggs, but really there's nothing left over. And that's the same with the cattle. By the time you figure in, hay, grain, veterinary, medications, and fencing, just general upkeep, the cows that we sell pay for the cows that we keep. And so essentially we're raising our own meat and eggs. And that goes with the meat chickens, the turkeys, etc. They pay for what we eat. So a lot of people, under the misnomer with the small farm is that they're gonna sell all the X number of animals and make a huge profit. And unfortunately, I'm not sure what the threshold is exactly, but I'm not there, of what you need to sell in order to be profitable. And so I'm happy with breaking even or pretty close to it. Sheep, same thing. We keep a small flock of sheep. We raise some for meat, we sell some, and custom raise some sheep for some other folks, and so the sheep pay for themselves as well. We did get bees this year, so that's been something that we've been looking forward to for a number of years. And as you beekeepers know, the first year there's no honey to be had, really. We were able to grab a couple honeycombs once or twice to just kind of taste it, and but not spun honey. So this whole first year, the capital up front, we've got the hives, the equipment, and the bees. And so the bees are in a clump right now. The hives are all waxed together by the bees, and I've got them in a decent spot. So can't open them until spring. We've treated them for mites and everything else, and so hopefully in the spring we still have bees. And there's 2 hives up there. We had a 3rd hive, which is an overflow, but they ended up swarming or something, and they didn't really collect a lot of pollen, so they didn't make a lot of honey. So I know that they're not going to survive the winter. I've written them off, and those were just the extra bees that would have gone away anyway. I had a small garden this year, and I would say that was successful because everything we planted in the tiny garden bore fruit and fed us. The grapes, as always, the grapes are, I don't want to say a money maker, but they're profitable. I make money off the grapes, and it's not a ton, but it definitely, they pay for themselves plus a little extra. Unfortunately, the corn crop this year was an utter failure, and I did not buy treated seeds this year. And I generally buy my seeds from Johnny's, but Johnny's this year said if you don't have a whatever farm of such and such, and it's not registered, even though my farm is registered with the soil conservation, they wouldn't, and the USDA, they would not sell me seeds this year. So I will never shop with Johnny's again. So they wouldn't sell me seeds, so I had to buy untreated seeds, and they didn't come up. I planted it twice and they were sporadic. One thing I did do as an experiment this summer was I took black oil sunflower seeds. I get them by the bag. They're a 50-pound bag for the chickens, and I put them in my cider, and they sprouted. So that was an interesting experiment, and I'm going to plant more next year because the sunflowers, the chickens, the turkeys eat them, as do the sheep and cows. My brother always had good luck with Vermont bean, and I have purchased from them a little bit in the past, and so going forward they're going to get all of my business. 2021 has been I would say, it's been difficult for everyone, and we've been no exception. We, as everybody else, we got a little bit of stimulus money in the front end of the year, and that helped, pay bills and get everything squared away. And as the year progressed, inflation set in, so the cost of feed, supplies, just general living expenses, they went through the roof. And so it's been a rough adjustment for all of us, having all these people here, and so fortunately we were able to grow a lot of our own food, and that offset what we had to pay at the supermarket. One thing that did help this year was I purchased some old tractors at a reasonable amount of capital, and I fixed them up a little bit, and then I turned those around. And buying old machinery it's always a little bit of a gamble. You never really know exactly what you're getting into. And then what do you do for a restoration? Do you just do some cosmetics? So generally what I do is I do a little bit of cosmetics and mechanical, and so I make sure that it's a functioning, nice looking machine when it goes out. And like anything that's old, how far do you want to dig into it? So everything that I bought and sent back out that was functioning, it drove, it ran, the brakes worked, the clutch worked, power takeoff, hydraulics. It was a functioning operating machine when it left. And so that supplemented a little bit. We were able to make a little bit there, and that gave me some quality time with my brother earlier on in the year when we were fixing the tractor up together. Building materials was still pretty much priced out of sight, supply and demand, so we didn't do a lot of maintenance. We did do a few things that were critical, but as far as like capital expenditures, that went another year without taking place. And having said that, in 2022 I've got a couple things that just have to be done, so we'll have to figure out how to navigate through that and make those things happen. The orchards did pretty well. We trimmed our orchard out, and I have a lot of videos on how to do trimming and how we did a lot of the gardening, the fencing, raising livestock, etc. And so I think all those have been successful. And we started our YouTube channel about a year ago in 2021, and it's grown more than I thought it would. I'm at 850 or so subscribers, so in 11-12 months we picked up a lot of folks who are interested in what we have to say, and I'm actually humbled by that. I really am. So I thank all of you who are watching, and those of you who have subscribed, and I hope to have more informational videos in the future that will be helpful to all of you. And there's a couple different kinds of people who watch YouTube. There are the people who, like I do this too, is I need to know how to do something, so I'll just go in the search bar and search it and find out how to do it, and then you're done. You know, you watch the video or a portion of it and you don't subscribe because you're not really there to see everything that creator has to offer. You needed something and they provided the answer. So I generally hit like on it if I watch it, but or I might leave a comment, thanks, I appreciated this, but I don't always subscribe, and I know that's just how it works. And so the subscribers that I get, I know that those are the people who are interested in us personally and us as farmers, and hopefully we can deliver our end of the bargain by giving you something entertaining to watch and hopefully provide some knowledge. I do have a lot of historical paraphernalia kicking around because my family's been here for over 100 and almost 120 years, so that there's a lot of stuff that has accumulated, and I do like to put that together in a video, and that way people can watch that. And it's kind of geared towards a lot of the local people here, and also my family. I've got a lot of my family is elderly or at least late middle age, and so it gives them a way to get some entertainment and see what's happened here in town and also on the farm. That gives them a way to get well, you know, the thing is with the pandemic, everybody's been pretty much isolated, right? So a lot of the family members that I have, like I said, they're old, and a lot of them are a little bit sickly, so we try to not expose them, I guess. So YouTube videos have been a good way to convey our daily life to them. I've had some reviews on equipment that I've bought, and generally what I'll do is I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm not sponsored by anybody. So when I do a review on something, it's just me trying to share my experience with you of how it worked for me or it didn't work for me. So again, hopefully that aspect has been helpful. And when you watch our videos, a lot of times what I do is I just have like a general vlog, and in that vlog there'll be reviews, there'll be some history, there'll be farming, to kind of be a smorgasbord of things. We had a lot of firewood this year, and so we were grateful that we always have plenty of wood to keep us warm, and so the kids were really great about that. There was a lot of blowdowns. We had some serious winds, and so we had to do repairs on fencing and on the land trust that I care for. A lot of blowdowns up there, so we cleared that up, and we got more than enough wood for the winter, and we were able to demonstrate some tools and some knowledge by doing that. So hopefully that's been interesting. And buy a lot of new equipment this year to show off. I'm just thinking, basically the one thing that jumps out of my mind was I did do some videos on my brother's machinery. Unfortunately he passed away 2 weeks ago, and so I did get to spend as much time with him as I could and absorb as much knowledge as I could. And I did some maintenance on his machinery and prepared some of it to sell. So, you know, we've had a lot of deaths in the family this year. I lost 2 uncles and my brother, obviously. So, you know, it's been a tough year, and like I said, we're no exception. We did get a new wood splitter, my MTD Yard Machines wood splitter that was, I think, 22 years old or 23 years old. It finally had a catastrophic failure. And so I sold that and bought one from Tractor Supply, and so far so good. It's been a nice machine, and I see people, a lot of times they'll do reviews on something and they trash the machine, but it's pure negligence. Like I saw one where somebody just left it outside all year, and then we're mad because the motor was junk, and it's like, it's not really designed to be outside. And that's kind of the thing with like Mahindra tractors and everything else. You know, I know the dealership, I know the mechanics, and generally the mechanics tell me that 90% of whatever comes in, whether it's, you know, Cub Cadet, Mahindra, Echo, John Deere, Steel, Husqvarna, Aaron's, you know, whatever it is that they're selling that comes in, 90% of the problems are always user error or abuse. And so I've been very fortunate that they've taken good care of my machinery for me under warranty when I had a couple issues. And I really have no qualms with anything that I've bought this year. And actually, I didn't buy the tractors this year. I've actually had them for a couple of years. So that was something I had planned for before I retired, was to get a few new pieces of machinery. And you know, now that I'm retired, I'm really cognizant of what's coming in and what's going out, and so grateful that I have what I have, and that's just how it's going to have to be, I guess. And so one thing I can take away from being with my brother is how thrifty he was, and he was he went to school for building trades, and so he knew how to build houses and build them nice. And so like when I was taking care of some of his things, all the structures up there that he built himself, and all the joints, no matter what the angle, every joint was so tight you couldn't slip a piece of paper between any of them. And so that's just a testimony to his attention to detail and ability to do good work. And so, you know, in my mind, I know how things are supposed to look, and it's just hard to necessarily take it from here and put it here. And that goes with everything, whether it's electrical, plumbing, mechanical, carpentry, because one thing I've stressed over and over again as a farmer, even as a, you know, I hate the word hobby farm so much, but hobby farm, is that you have to learn to do a lot of things by yourself, because not only are the tradesmen that you need to help you not available, when they are available, they are very expensive. And she's still holding out on me, but I know she's close. I can tell she has all the signs of being close, and so I can't tell you a day, but soon is what I can tell you. That's been a little disturbing in 2021 was the prices that people were charging for things. And so you had, you know, tractors that were $2,500, $3,000 in 2021. Now they want $6,000 for it, and it's ridiculous. But I guess you only need one fool to buy it. And I saw the same thing with people selling replacement hens or replacement pullets. People were saying they charge $10 per month for the age of the bird. So if it's a 6-month-old pullet ready to lay eggs, they were charging $60, and people were buying it. And then they were paying exorbitant costs for veterinary bills for chickens. And I guess do what you want, but that's just not one way to turn a profit on a farm. And so we did hatch out a number of chickens here, and as is always the case when you hatch out your own birds, half of them are generally roosters, or more than half. It depends if you want them for pullets or for meat. It'll be the opposite of what you wanted. But what we do is the roosters that are born to cockerels, we just raise them up and send them with the meat birds. And they're a little smaller, but they still taste just fine. So there's never lost opportunity as far as that goes. And I did get what they call the cackle hatchery surprise. Lot of birds last year, and you can tell them no waterfowl. I didn't last year, got a couple of ducks, but I'm not going to have ducks or geese in the future. They are a drag on the farm. People don't buy goose or duck eggs. People don't want to buy goslings or ducklings. People don't want to buy hatching eggs, and so they're just a drag financially on the farm. So we won't be doing that going forward. What I will do is increase a few turkeys this year. I know that there's a market for turkeys, and so I can at least get my investment back on turkeys. And I am not going to free range any of my meat birds, because they end up being tough and they walk the meat off themselves. So like I've mentioned before, my family's raised poultry for at least 75 years, and the way to raise meat birds is definitely not free range them. You put them in an area, a confinement area, you pound the food to them. 8 weeks later, they're 10-pound birds. So contrary to what a lot of the farmers with the quote regenerative unquote agriculture will tell you, running your meat animals willy-nilly makes them tough. The legs are tough, and they don't put on the weight that they normally would. Having said that, letting your laying hens or pullets free range, that's a great idea, because they will eat the bugs, they will scratch the manure down, and if you put them out, in the afternoon, they've already pretty much laid their eggs, so you're not going to have an Easter egg hunt every time you're looking for eggs. So that's one thing I want to convey to people too. Jersey calves, I still say they're the best bang for your buck. They taste better than any other meat that you're going to find, with the exception of Wagyu, which you can't even find it And so Angus, unfortunately, has sold itself. So if you had Angus cows, just the name Angus, you can get a premium price for it. But I think a great kept secret is Jerseys. And so I'm going to continue to raise Jerseys. I can get them inexpensively, raise them inexpensively, and recoup all of my money from them. I've always wanted a cow-calf operation, and I really enjoyed having a milk cow. It was a great experience. Unfortunately, the chickens wouldn't drink the milk. Some of my kids were lactose intolerant, and I was just overrun with milk. And I was able to use a lot of the milk to feed the young calves, so that was a plus. But the overall of having a milk cow and the associated upkeep with a milk cow was not worth it. So I made the tough decision to sell the milk cow, even though she's probably the best cow I've ever had, and I really enjoyed having her. But can't afford to have expensive pets on a small farm. That's just not how it works. And that's where I say we're not a hobby farm, because hobby farms have pet animals, and we definitely, I wouldn't say they're pets. All the animals here do provide a service. And even Henry, who's a wether, he is a great companion for the rams. And so what you do is you don't always run your ram lambs with your ewes. You put them separately, and Henry is a good companion for them. So even he's pulling his own weight. The cats all catch mice, all the sheep have babies, the chickens lay eggs, and the cows go for beef. So there's just no superfluous animals here taking up space. And that's my definition of a hobby farm, is when you've got animals who aren't really doing anything other than looking cool out in your pasture. Some of the machinery purchases that I made, there were extra parts and pieces, and so those actually were beneficial. I was able to sell those separately and make a little bit extra there. But overall, buying old machinery and trying to fix it up and sell it is a really poor investment. It's just like buying an antique car. Unless it's something that's very desirable, it's really never worth it to buy one and then try to fix it up and make a lot of money off it. And so generally, the reason I do that is because I do get a lot of enjoyment out of doing that. So I think if you're doing it for the enjoyment, then that's fine. But if you're doing it to try to turn a profit, that's probably not a wise build. This year was a farm stand, and we built that entirely with the exception of 2 pieces of steel roofing that I bought because the old ones were full of nail holes. I built the entire structure out of materials that we had on hand. Less animals, that required less feed, and so the hay mow is the lowest it's been since I've been here. Generally there's about 500 to 700 bales up here, and I don't have that this year. This is primarily round bales. There's about 150 squares left over. Most of the hay equipment's been sold, and while I did really enjoy cutting and making my own hay, it's not worth it. And the expense of machinery, the time involved, and the labor necessary to put in square bales, particularly when you're dumping them on the ground behind the tractor, definitely not worth it. It's much cheaper to buy your hay, and I've explained that in some other videos too. 2021, aside from a few of the setbacks and the losses, which are still devastating, and still trying to recoup from that, I believe 2021 wasn't terrible as far as, we didn't lose our house. There wasn't a forest fire. There wasn't a flood. We're all reasonably healthy, and so I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for you for watching. Disappointments this year, I think one of the bigger ones was, this is my brother's tractor. It's his Super C. And we were gonna be in the parade for the 4th of July, and unfortunately it rained that day. And my brother knew at that time, I think, that this would be the last year that he would have an opportunity to be in the parade, and unfortunately that didn't happen. But I guess I'm grateful that he got to see me take custody of the tractor and finish fixing it up. He didn't finish doing that, so I was able to do that, and he did see that before he passed away. So it's kind of like a mixed emotion on that one, but I plan on putting it in the parade next year and for the 4th of July. To all of you, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you for watching. And